Mortal Kombat wasn't supposed to work. Video game movies were box office poison. The director had never touched CGI, and they were filming on an island, so remote they had to build an outhouse in the jungle. But somehow, it became a cult phenomenon. Behind the scenes, broken ribs, million-dollar puppets that kept breaking down, and Tom Cruise getting kicked off set by a medic. Here are 20 weird facts about Mortal Kombat you didn't know, and trust me, they're stranger than the fatalities. Fact 1. The Super Mario Bros. Curse almost killed it. Ronro's producer Lawrence Kasanoff walks into Midway Games with a crazy idea: turn Mortal Kombat into a movie. The game creators, they laughed him out of the room. Why? Because Super Mario Bros. Had just bombed spectacularly. The stigma was real. Video game adaptations were considered career suicide. Kasanoff didn't give up. He nagged them for 3 months straight. Phone calls, meetings, pitches. Finally, they said yes. Even his own bosses at New Line Cinema hated the script, but they greenlit it anyway, telling him, "We trust your judgment." Translation: this is on you if it fails. Spoiler alert, it didn't. Fact 2. The director faked his way through the entire production. Paul W.S. Anderson had a problem. He'd just been hired to direct his first Hollywood movie, big budget, visual effects, CGI creatures, and he had absolutely zero experience with any of it. So what did he do? He went to a bookstore, bought every single book on visual effects, matte paintings, and CGI, stayed up all night memorizing technical jargon. Then he walked into meetings with studio executives and talked like he'd been doing this for years. They bought it completely. Anderson later admitted, "I kind of bluffed my way in, but I think they could see the enthusiasm. Fake it till you make it." He took that literally. Fact 3. They filmed on an island with no bathrooms. Picture this. You're shooting an action movie in the middle of the Thai jungle. The island is so remote you can only reach it by canoe. No roads, no buildings, no amenities, and definitely no bathrooms. The crew had 2 options: do your business in the jungle like a wild animal, or take a 30-minute boat ride back to the mainland every time nature called. Finally, someone said enough. They built a makeshift outhouse in a secluded area, just so people wouldn't have to, quote, go straight on the floor. Hollywood glamour at its finest. Fact 4. Record labels rejected the soundtrack for being too weird. The producers had a vision: an electronic dance music soundtrack for a martial arts film. Sony Records? No. Virgin Records? Absolutely not. They wanted Van Halen, Janet Jackson, conventional rock stars. The producers refused to budge, so they went with TVT Records, a tiny label nobody had heard of. The result? The first platinum EDM album in American history, a Guinness World Record holder, and one of the most iconic movie soundtracks of the 90s, the Mortal Kombat scream, still legendary. Those executives must have been kicking themselves. Fact 5. Christopher Lambert worked for free to save the movie. Christopher Lambert was the biggest name in the cast. He'd starred in Highlander. He was expensive, so the producers made a deal. 4 weeks of work, close-ups in Los Angeles only. For the Thailand scenes, they'd use a stunt double and edit it together later, exactly like they did with Sean Connery in the original Highlander. Lambert found out about the plan and said, "Forget about that, I'm coming to Thailand." He flew to Thailand on his own dime and worked for free. Why? Because he knew the movie would be better if Raiden was actually there in those epic temple locations. That's not just professionalism, that's commitment. Fact 6. Cameron Diaz broke her wrist and lost the role of her life. Fresh off The Mask, Cameron Diaz was cast as Sonya Blade. The producers had seen the dailies from Jim Carrey's film and knew she was going to be a star. They put her into martial arts training immediately. Then disaster struck. Diaz broke her wrist so badly she had to drop out completely. Enter Bridget Wilson, who'd already been passed over for the role and moved on to film Billy Madison with Adam Sandler. She got the call, flew to set the morning after wrapping Billy Madison, and had to learn all her fight choreography on the spot. No prior martial arts experience, just pure determination. She did every single stunt herself. Fact 7. Robin Shullo rated fights by how many ribs he broke. Robin Shull, who played Liu Kang, had a brutal system for measuring fight intensity. He'd rate them 1, 2, or 3, referring to how many ribs he bruised or fractured during filming. The reptile fight, that was a 3-rib fight. He actually fractured 2 ribs when he was thrown into a stone pillar. Did he tell anyone? Nope. He kept quiet and finished filming the entire sequence. When Anderson asked if he'd delivered, Shull basically said, "Oh yeah, you got your money's worth." The man was a Hong Kong stunt veteran, and it showed. Pain was just part of the job. Fact 8. Bridget Wilson dislocated her shoulder and kept filming. Director Paul W.S. Anderson nicknamed Bridget Wilson Robo Babe because nothing could stop her. During one scene, she dislocated her shoulder. The crew heard the pop, they saw her face go pale, but instead of calling it a day, they literally popped it back into place right there on set. Wilson shook it off, and kept going. No complaints, no drama. The Sonya vs. Kano fight was deliberately scheduled as the very last scene to be filmed, specifically to give Wilson maximum training time. By the time they shot it, she was throwing kicks and punches like she'd been doing martial arts for years. Fact 9. Lyndon Ashby was eating Advil like candy. Playing Johnny Cage looked cool on screen. Behind the scenes, pure agony. During the Scorpion fight, Lyndon Ashby took such a beating that he was consuming Advil like they were M&Ms. He came off set telling Anderson, "I've never been in so much pain in my life." He also suffered a bruised kidney during filming that was so severe, he was urinating blood for several days, but he didn't quit. He didn't complain publicly. He just kept showing up and getting thrown into trees by undead ninjas. That's the price of those $500 sunglasses, apparently. Fact 10. A set medic kicked Tom Cruise off the set. Tom Cruise had a hangar at nearby Santa Monica Airport. One day, he wandered over to see what they were filming. The production was so cash-strapped that the set medic was also pulling double duty as the security guard. Cruise walked up and said, "Hey, what are you guys shooting? Can I check it out?" The medic looked at him and said, "You're not in this movie. Go away." Cruise protested, "I just want to see." The medic didn't budge. "I don't care who you are. Get out of here." And just like that, one of the biggest movie stars in the world got turned away from a B-movie set. The cast and crew found out later, and were both mortified and absolutely amused. Fact 11. The two best fight scenes didn't exist until test audiences complained. The first cut of Mortal Kombat screened for test audiences. The response was unanimous. "We love everything we see. There are not enough fights in this movie." The studio panicked. They scheduled expensive reshoots. The result? The two most iconic battles in the entire film. Johnny Cage vs. Scorpion in the forest and Netherworld. Liu Kang vs. Reptile in that incredible cave sequence. Director Paul W.S. Anderson later admitted these reshoot fights were his personal favorites. Without those test screenings demanding more action, the movie's most memorable moments wouldn't exist. Sometimes, focus groups actually get it right. Fact 12. The Goro puppet cost $1 million and constantly broke down. Prince Goro was supposed to be the film's technical marvel, a fully articulated animatronic puppet. The price tag, $1 million. The crew required to operate it, 16 puppeteers working simultaneously. The problem, it constantly malfunctioned. Every few takes, something would break. Production would halt for hours while they fixed it. The crew got so frustrated that they refused to even bring it to Thailand. All of Goro's scenes were shot in a Los Angeles studio instead, and that decorative pond in his lair, they left it completely dry because any contact with water would short-circuit the $1 million disaster. Worth it? Debatable. Fact 13. Most of the dialogue was completely ad-libbed. Director Paul W.S. Anderson had an unusual approach, let the actors improvise. Those iconic lines everyone remembers? Not in the script. Those were $500 sunglasses. Asshole? Ad-libbed by Lyndon Ashby. Thank God I didn't ask him to park the car. Made up on the spot. Anderson encouraged this loose, spontaneous style throughout filming. It gave the movie a playful, self-aware energy that could have felt robotic with strictly scripted dialogue. Sometimes the best moments happen when you throw out the script and just let actors play. Fact 14. Trevor Goddard's fake accent changed video game canon forever. British actor Trevor Goddard played the villain Kano. He decided to use a Cockney English accent for the character. But here's where it gets weird. The filmmakers thought he sounded Australian. Game creators Ed Boon and John Tobias watched the film and were so impressed, they permanently changed Kano's entire backstory. In the games, Kano had been Japanese-American. After the movie, suddenly he's Australian. Complete with the accent, the slang, even longer hair to match Goddard's look. One actor's accent choice literally rewrote video game canon. That's influence. Fact 15. Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa auditioned standing on a chair in full costume. Most actors show up to auditions in regular clothes. Maybe they bring a headshot. Not Kari Hiroyuki Tagawa. When he auditioned for Shang Tsung, he arrived in full costume, robes, makeup, the works. Then he stood on a chair and delivered his lines with theatrical menace. The filmmakers were so blown away, they cast him instantly. He was their first and only choice. They even rewrote the character's age to fit Tagawa, rather than forcing him into heavy old age makeup from the video game. When you show up to an audition standing on furniture in costume, you get the part. Fact 16. Steven Spielberg was supposed to cameo but bailed. Steven Spielberg loved Mortal Kombat. He was a legitimate fan of the games. So when producers asked him to cameo as Johnny Cage's movie director in the opening scene, he said yes. Then scheduling conflicts got in the way. Spielberg had to drop out, but he felt bad enough about it that he let the film parody him anyway. The replacement actor, Sandy Helberg, was styled to look exactly like Spielberg. The hat, the beard, the mannerisms. It's not actually Spielberg on screen, but the joke is clear. Even without showing up, Spielberg left his mark. Fact 17. The iconic theme song wasn't made for the movie. Everyone associates techno syndrome with the 1995 film. That Mortal Kombat scream is burned into pop culture memory. But here's the twist. The song wasn't created for the movie at all. It was made a full year earlier for a video game compilation album called Mortal Kombat, the album. The film just borrowed it. But the song fits so perfectly, and the movie became so successful, that now nobody remembers it existed before the film. Sometimes the best creative decisions are just really good. Theft. Fact 18. The closing credits contain a secret video game cheat code. If you watched Mortal Kombat in theaters and stayed through the credits, you might have noticed weird symbols scrolling past. Most people assumed they were just decorative. They weren't. Those symbols form a combat code, a secret cheat code for Mortal Kombat 3, which came out the same year. If you paused the credits at exactly the right moment, wrote down the symbols, and entered them into the arcade game in the correct order, you'd unlock a special effect. It was an Easter egg for the hardcore fans willing to sit through the entire credit roll with a pen and paper. Dedication rewarded. Fact 19. Paul W.S. Anderson regrets not doing the sequel. After Mortal Kombat's success, New Line wanted Anderson back for the sequel. He said no. He wanted to stretch his creative wings, so he made Event Horizon instead. Mortal Kombat Annihilation came out in 1997 without him. It was a disaster. Critics hated it. Fans hated it. The franchise died. Anderson later admitted that not doing the sequel was one of his biggest regrets. It's why he stayed with the Resident Evil franchise for 6 films. He didn't want to abandon another successful adaptation and watch someone else ruin it. Lesson learned, the hard way. Fact 20. Ed Boon, the game creator, voiced Scorpion in the movie. Mortal Kombat co-creator Ed Boon wasn't just consulting on the film, he was in it. He provided all of Scorpion's voice lines. That menacing "get over here" growl, that's Boon. You can also hear him whispering "reptile" when the character transforms from creature to ninja form. Despite creating the franchise and lending his voice to the film, Boon admitted years later that he wasn't a fan of the sequel. Even the creators couldn't defend Annihilation. Some disasters are just beyond saving. It started as a disaster. A director who'd never done visual effects, a cast getting brutalized on set, a $1 million puppet that wouldn't stop breaking. But somehow, that disaster became a classic. Mortal Kombat proved that video game movies could work if you respected the source material and embraced the chaos. If you're into strange movie secrets and weird Hollywood history, hit subscribe. We're just getting started, and trust me, there are way weirder stories where this came from.